to challenges companies are facing in the wake of COVID-19. With traditional retail sales strategies being upended during the pandemic, e-commerce may be a viable pivot for your business to consider. Touching on a housekeeping note before we begin, please know that all participants will be muted until the end of the presentation, but you can submit your questions via the chat function to the right. Today, we will go over the benefits of e-commerce, selecting your e-commerce business model, selling your products online, displaying your products, fulfillment strategies, and hear firsthand from a business that pivoted to include e-commerce as part of their sales strategy during COVID-19, and then take some time for Q&A. There are many benefits of utilizing e-commerce to enhance your sales strategy, particularly as online sales have recently soared as a result of stay-at-home orders, in addition to simple convenience. First, we will begin with geographic limitations. You can mitigate geographic limitations. Unlike traditional brick-and-mortar retail, e-commerce serves the global marketplace, reaching customers that were previously limited by physical distance. And new needs to sanitize interior spaces and limit capacity in brick-and-mortar locations are bypassed utilizing e-commerce. Secondly, e-commerce helps you achieve new customer discovery through search engine optimization, or SEO. SEO is the process of growing the quality and quantity of website traffic by increasing the visibility of a website to users of a web search engine. SEO makes it possible for people to purchase products from a store across the globe that they have no previous familiarity with. Lowered costs. The obvious lowered cost associated with utilizing e-commerce is that merchants can circumvent the real estate costs associated with brick-and-mortar stores, but additional cost savings are found in personnel and advertising as well. Unlike traditional storefronts, with personnel working the cash register and physically organizing and monitoring inventory, e-commerce automates checkout, billing, payments, inventory management, and day-to-day operational procedures that add to the overhead costs of running a store. Similarly, e-commerce allows for free or low-cost advertising through organic SEO, social media, and online ads that are more effective, trackable, and targeted than billboards or print media. Efficient product location identification and comparison shopping. E-commerce enables customers to quickly sift through a store's entire inventory to zero in on an exact product they are looking for, as opposed to pushing a cart through aisles of physical product. Additionally, comparison shopping is much easier behind a screen than it is by entering storefronts and tracking prices. It is difficult to educate each of your employees on detailed product attributes in your store, let alone accurately provide customer reviews, but websites provide sufficient space to include both, which means that there's an abundance of product information and customer reviews that are inherent with e-commerce, unlike a traditional store. Targeted communication. E-commerce also provides a natural way to gather targeted information used for targeted follow-up communication with your customer base through the website registration form. Although obvious, the 24/7 availability of the web is a win-win for both buyers and suppliers, meaning it gives more opportunity for sales for the merchant and an at-your-service mentality for the buyer. Niche product sourcing. While it can be difficult to obtain niche products or locate buyers of niche products in your specific location, e-commerce connects those in need. This is particularly helpful for rare hobbyists or sourcing obsolete parts. Choosing your e-commerce business model is a first critical step when deciding how you will begin to sell your items online. Giving careful consideration to your options is key, especially if you are in the early stages of planning your business in general. If, however, you already have a business and would simply like to sell products online, some models will naturally appeal to you more than others. The models we will be going over today are dropshipping, reselling, manufacturing, white labeling, and handcrafting. Dropshipping is an online retail store that doesn't keep the products it sells in stock. Instead, when a store sells a product using the dropshipping model, it purchases the item from a third party and has it shipped directly to the customer. This model is invisible to the consumer in that the dropshipper receives the order via their online storefront, then sends along the order to the company that makes it. who then ships the product directly to the customer. Drop shippers make their money by pocketing the difference between the sold cost and the manufacturer's cost. The drop shipping model is advantageous for manufacturers who are not interested in marketing. Benefits of the drop shipping model include that there's very little startup capital and as a result, often no need for a bank loan. There are no order minimums and no fulfillment or the physical shipping and packaging of products, and no inventory to store. They are location independent, so proximity to your supplier doesn't matter. Wayfair is an example of a drop shipper. Although the furniture retailing giant has grown to include warehousing, their original business model was strictly connecting suppliers to consumers through their online presence as a drop shipper. Perhaps the most challenging model for e-commerce, manufacturing is the making of goods or wares by manual labor or by machinery, especially on a large scale. Manufacturing requires large capital investments, time, and money to develop products from scratch. However, it is the hardest model for others to duplicate exactly. Benefits of manufacturing include unlimited potential. When you create your own product and scale it, your potential is unlimited as per market demands, unlike relying on another producer who could halt production at any time. You have complete and total product control. It goes without saying, but when you manufacture your own products, you are in the driver's seat from product idea to completion, without influence from others. You also have access to intellectual property rights. By manufacturing your own product, you have access to all forms of intellectual property rights, including patents, trademarks, and copywriting, all of which protect your brand and protect you from being duplicated after going to market. Dollar Shave Club is an example of a manufacturer using e-commerce. Reselling is when a person buys product from wholesalers, distributors, or manufacturers and sells online to consumers through their own online store. Under this e-commerce business model, you have to have your own physical space to hold inventory. Some benefits of reselling include, based on your interests or expertise, you already have insight as to which products have traction in the marketplace. For example, if your hobby is knitting, you already likely know which yarns are quality, needles that hold up, and patterns that have worked well for you. You don't need to spend lots of money on R&D because you've already gained that insight as a customer. Single source fulfillment gives you more control over the fulfillment process and control over shipping costs. And reselling offers more opportunities for upselling and cross sales to get customers to maximize their cart. By holding all of the inventory, the more products a customer purchases, the more money you will make. You have more room to play with margins because you have purchased at discount bulk prices. And finally, with reselling, new product experimentation costs you only as much as you have purchased in the first place. Hello Baby is an example of a reseller in that they purchase a variety of products from small baby brands, resell them primarily via the internet, and ship globally. White labeling is when someone else makes your product, but they put your label on it before going to market. Think of this as the meld between reselling and creating your own product. This is in contrast to buying products from other companies with their brand names on them. Some benefits of white labeling include that you get to bypass the manufacturing of products entirely. You have control over branding and marketing, and if you white label great products, you can build brand loyalty that is not available by simply reselling. Target sells a variety of branded snacks, but it also sells its own chips and cracks under the Archer Farms brand. This is Target's white label brand. Handcrafting is the small-scale production of artisanal products made by hand and typically sold at a higher price point. Some benefits of handcrafting are that you can start selling online immediately. The small-scale nature of production allows you to explore whether or not you have a market with relatively little time and money spent on market discovery. And you have fewer customers are necessary because higher prices are assumed. There are multiple examples of handcrafters that are selling their artisanal wares on Etsy. After you have decided your e-commerce business model, you'll want to decide how you will sell your product. When it comes to e-commerce, you have two primary options: selling online through your own store or selling through an e-commerce marketplace. Let's begin by looking at selling through your own online store. The first benefit of selling through your online store is margin. By selling through your own store on your website as opposed to a marketplace, you get to keep as much of your margin as possible. Unlike marketplaces, which will take a cut of your sales, you have controlled sales strategy. By selling through your own online store, you will be able to quickly decide if you want to offer discounts, when you would like to offer them, whether or not you will cover shipping, and if you would like to add a personal touch or handwritten note within your shipment. You can also mitigate negative customer experiences. If a customer receives a late shipment due to problems with the third-party marketplace, they may not differentiate between that experience and your brand, and in the process, damage their perception of your company. By selling on your own site, you maintain more control over the customer experience with your product from end to end. Customer data. By selling on your own site, you will naturally gain better insight into your customer base. For example, depending on the detail of information you collect in your customer's registration before point of purchase, you can gather the name, address, contact information, and demographic information of your customers, which is critical when developing your strategy for repeat business. With this information and their consent, you can follow up with customers over email with new products and offer related products of interest. Finally, you can track warranty information and handle each unique customer experience with more care. Procedural control. By owning your own store, you play by your own rules, so to speak, and avoid the possibility of the marketplace platform changing its terms. Depending on the way each marketplace has written their contracts with sellers, they can, and have in the past, changed pricing, preferentially decided to display their own similar products over yours, or decide to remove an industry of products from the marketplace in its entirety. All of this is avoided when you have your own store on your own website. If you decide to set up your own e-commerce store, cloud-based software as a service or SaaS shopping cart solutions like Shopify, Squarespace, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, and Network Solutions make this very easy by providing out-of-the-box solutions with a handful of basic features, including shopping cart functionality built into the platform already. Utilizing pre-built customizable themes, basic product information management, marketing capabilities, and other needed functionality, you can choose from a rich selection of design templates, typically for a monthly fee. Scalability is also easier as growing retail sales will require e-commerce platforms to scale along with them. Software as a service e-commerce solutions make it easy to take on more customers, process more orders, and add more complex functionality when needed. Cost. Overall, software as a service e-commerce systems are affordable as there are minimal upfront costs and you can avoid development work since you're not building your platform from nothing. Finally, software as a service e-commerce platforms are easy to integrate with enterprise resource planning systems, point of sale software, third-party logistics, or any other financial software programs. While selling through your own online store offers many benefits, one of the biggest challenges not afforded with them is established global visibility. This is where online marketplaces like Amazon, eBay, Etsy, and Alibaba come into play. These giant marketplaces have become default shopping places where many people begin their online product search, completely surpassing search engines like Google. This is significant because if the majority of consumers aren't even Googling your products, then your standalone store may be completely missed. Some additional benefits of selling through online marketplaces is that you have the option to let the marketplace provide customer service and fulfillment. Because it can be difficult or contractually forbidden by the marketplace to reach your customers directly, making repeat business can be challenging, and so it is critically important that you utilize opt-in marketing strategies like warranty programs, affiliate programs, and online communities to capture that audience elsewhere. While online marketplaces present many streamlined options for selling online, in addition to fees for listing and selling your products, you can expect to be charged to warehouse your products, fulfill products, and advertise your products. With this in mind, your pricing strategy will need to factor in these additional fees so your margins are large enough to make selling online profitable. At bare minimum, you need 3 things to display your product online: a title, description, and image. But as more and more global consumers have moved online, customer reviews have become critical when comparing products before purchase. Reviews provide organic transparency to your customers, allowing them to hear directly from others who have purchased your products, not just the company who has a vested interest in its promotion. Additionally, they allow you to drill down on specific aspects of your business model that most appeal to your customer target base. On the flip side, while the prospect of negative reviews can be daunting, they also give you the opportunity to salvage your relationship with the customer by following up after the review is received, which increases consumer trust. Negative reviews also provide better insight into areas for improvement, opportunities to showcase your customer service skills, process fewer returns, and provide documented evidence to consider when making necessary changes to your product or business model. Once you have your online store set up and begin to receive orders, you will want to develop your fulfillment strategy. Fulfillment is simply the act of shipping an item to a customer, and you have 2 options to consider when considering your fulfillment. You can carry out fulfillment by yourself by packaging and shipping products and taking them to the post office. And if you choose this model, you have 2 options where you can, 2 pricing options. Flat rate shipping, where you charge a standard rate to ship any item and additional fees for more products added to the order. Or you can use live rate shipping, which utilizes current figures from actual shipping companies. If you use live rate shipping, you need to have product weight and dimensions to determine shipping costs. The second fulfillment option you have is to outsource your fulfillment to a third-party logistics provider, or a 3PL, who will have you send them your product, connect your store to their software, and package and ship the products for you. With this basic overview of e-commerce in mind, I'd like to turn the stage over to Laura Flax who recently pivoted her business to include e-commerce as a result of unforeseen challenges faced by COVID-19.
Hey everybody, hi there. I'm Laura Flax with Victory Gardeners. Leslie, if you could stop sharing your screen and I will take over screen share. There you go. Thank you so much. All right, you should now see my screen. Hey everybody. Okay, first of all, I want to thank everybody who showed up here today for coming out to learn about e-commerce. I'm going to tell you a little bit how I feel that e-commerce has been absolutely irreplaceable in getting my company through COVID and through this season. So I have 2 companies. First company I'm going to talk about today is Victory Gardeners, and it is an e-commerce site that sells seeds, and we have a farmer's market booth that sells plants, loose leaf teas, and ointments. We have been doing our plant booth now for about 5 years at the Columbia Farmers Market. We specialize on heirloom food producing plants. We try to find local plants on the brink of extinction, local family heirlooms, and bring them back into the food chain. Our goal is to help people grow as much food as they can with plants that are adjusted to our microclimate. So Victory Gardeners is one of my 2 businesses. It's a seasonal business. In January or December of every year, I choose the plants that I'm going to have that year. I grow out a lot of different plants, and then I get ready for my markets. We have a website, victorygardeners.com, and here's the contact information for that business should you wish to get in touch with me about plants or seeds. So I had created an e-commerce site that brings my other businesses. I have a business that is a social media marketing and website development firm. So I know how to build websites. So that was certainly a help in pivoting as quickly as we did to e-commerce. So I have this website. I'm used to selling seeds, ointments, teas on the website, and I'm used to selling my plants in person. So we have COVID hits and we're like, okay, what are we going to do? Things change. So our products on our website, we usually have seeds, teas, ointments, and plants, and we hit specific target markets. Gardeners, locally, we hit the people that generally come to the Earth Day, the farmers market, But nationally and internationally, we hit anyone who's interested in gardening, sustainable food sources, heirloom plants, sustainable strains. We have an in-person market and we have an online market. Our in-person market is seasonal. Our online market is any time of the year. So I'm used to doing some online business. And our main method of getting information out there has been our Facebook community, and I blog for Mother Earth News. So between getting to a national audience through organizations like Mother Earth, which have magazines like Heirloom Gardener, Grit Magazine, and Mother Earth Gardening, between getting to them through that and through Facebook, those have been my primary ways to get to my market. So the pandemic hits, and I'm sitting here with 4,600 plants growing in a greenhouse in my backyard, and the cancellations begin. The Columbia Farmers Market, we get an email, probably not going to happen. St. Louis Farmers Market, or St. Louis Earth Day, definitely not going to happen. The Columbia Farmers Market, they're fighting for their ability to continue being open as a required food source, but the crowds have diminished down to just a few hundred people, where we used to get several thousand, 3,000 to 4,000 in a Saturday morning. And Baker Creek's Planting Fest, which is one of our largest events of the year, it's a 2-day planting fest down in South Missouri, gets canceled. And safety becomes a real issue. So being involved with people becomes a concern. And yet I still have 4,600 plants growing in a greenhouse in my backyard. So the stay-at-home order hits. All of a sudden, okay, we can't even go out if we want to. We can't be going to our markets. We can't be getting to people. We can't have people coming into our greenhouses and seeing our plants. We've got 4,600 plants. Our rental greenhouse, which we use down in Ashland, is no longer an option. There's 12 people living on the farm where that greenhouse is. There's a bunch of young people, and they are not social distancing. So that greenhouse becomes a no-go. So now we have even more issues. I've got 4,600 plants in a 9x12 greenhouse in little wee pods, and I need a big place to grow them out. And I have to decide what I'm going to do. So me and my husband had a very big sort of moment of, we had to make a decision. We could have let our season go and lost the potential income for the entire plant season, plus the investment that we already had in, which was several $1,000s for that point for the season. Or we could dig in and go online. Now, 2 years ago, we tried this. 2 years ago, we tried to offer our plants online to the community. And people were not interested in buying plants sight unseen. They wanted to be able to see those plants, touch those plants, see if they're good, if they're strong, are there any diseases, bugs, before they actually got their plants. And I've been a gardener for 24 years. I appreciate that. I generally want to see, because plants could come diseased, and then you lose your entire harvest because of it. So we had tried it a couple of years ago with no success, and we thought, okay, well, given COVID and the situation, if we offer free delivery in Columbia or curbside pickup, I have a feeling it might work. And it was the only way we could save our season. So we decided we were going to dig in and we were going to go online. So what did it take to go forward with this particular situation? There was an investment required. And this is at a point where we've already plugged a bunch of money into the season. And this business is such that you put a lot of work and money in, and then you get paid over like a 5 or 6 week period when everybody buys the plants. So it was going to require even more money put in. I needed to buy a second greenhouse for the backyard. I managed to find a 20x12 greenhouse on Amazon, had it delivered. I needed to buy a heating system for that greenhouse and pay for all the propane necessary to keep that greenhouse warm. So that was a bunch of heaters and heating bills. And then I needed to spend the large amount of hours at the computer converting my website to be able to handle this new product line. So that was a very big investment of time. And luckily, I have those skill sets because of my other business, my other focus. I was able to do it. So what did it take to go online? I had to add a new page to my already existing website. If I didn't have a website at that point, I would have had to build out a website. And I'm going to talk a little bit about your options if you make a decision to do something like that. I had to add about 140 products with description and inventory tracking to the website. And this sounds a little daunting, and it was. I had to get pictures of every product, descriptions of every product. I had to put in inventory tracking, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about inventory tracking too, because that is a big deal when you go online. I had to add in some new plugins to handle shipping and shipping restrictions. When you ship online, it's a little bit complicated. because some of your products are really easy and cheap to ship and some of them aren't. You know, if you're shipping bottles of elderberry juice, that's a complicated product to ship because it's glass and it's heavy and you have to have specific boxes. So I was in a situation where I knew by a fact that people were going to want to have these plants shipped, but I did not have the time to create a shipping option that would allow me to ship live plants. If I had had time and the resources to do that, I would have been able to open myself up to a much larger market. But keep in mind, I had 4,600 plants. I didn't have the way to grow more. I didn't have a way to scale that up. It was a finite amount of product. So I made the decision not to ship online, not to try to source packaging and postage options to ship online the plants. But I needed to find a way to restrict it so when people put plants into their shopping cart, it didn't give them the option to have it shipped. So I found appropriate plugins to control shipping and put restrictions on products for shipping. And then I had to increase and redirect my marketing, because all the marketing that I had done up to that point was focused on seeds, ointments, teas. It wasn't focused on plants and it wasn't focused locally. When you do a business online, local becomes a little less meaningful because I can ship those seeds just as easily to New England as I can ship them to California, as I can ship them to Texas or within Missouri. So you have to be aware of your options and where your markets are. With the plants, my markets were local, and that's something I had not focused on specifically before. So I used and I'll go into how I marketed that when I talk about social media, but I had to redirect my marketing efforts to a local crowd. So I just want to show you the difference in the online results from last year to this year. Now keep in mind, last year, all we were selling online was seeds. We were selling our plants at in-face markets only. So last year, we had about $1,483 we sold online of seeds in the time from March 1st to June 1st. This year, including plants, we had $13,524. That's an increase of 812%. So that is actually, it's not apples to apples because, again, the plants that we sold in the markets are not in there. But I can tell you, as we see some slides that are coming, that we actually surpassed our sales last year by going online and selling through the online marketplace. Our net sales, that's the difference between shipping and non-shipping costs. And then the orders, we had 372 orders, sold 3,342 items on the website during that time period. So very big increase from last year, because again, last year it was just seeds and ointments and teas that were being sent. So the sales in the past, we had about 44% of our sales were outside of Colombia and 56% were inside. This is for plants only. This is not seeds. So we went to St. Louis for their Earth Day. We went to Baker Creek for their planting fast. So almost half of our products went to outside the Columbia community, and the other slightly over half went to the inside Columbia community. That's very different than this year. This year, if we go to the next slide, you'll see 100% of our sales are in the Columbia area. Now, as a sustainable agriculture company, that makes me very happy because I know that all my plants that are being sold, that were sold this year, are actually making a difference in Columbia and helping people in Columbia grow their own food. So from a sustainable ag point of view, this is an absolute win. I'm not saying I don't want St. Louis people to grow and I don't want people down in South Missouri to grow. That's not the case at all. But the fact that I'm helping local people grow locally adjusted strains of heirlooms is kind of our, raison d'etre. It's what we do. So this was a super exciting thing. So again, we're looking at 3,280 plants in 2019, 3,917 plants in 2020. And that's of June 1st. That is a marked increase in the total number of plants we sold, and we did it online. So that is a massive difference in how effective we've been by using the online system. Now, we also brought in another aspect to our sales system this year. Every year, we donate a lot of plants. We donate it to food pantry gardens, school gardens, CCUA, all sorts of different organizations that we give plants to. And this year we thought, you know what? This is my husband's idea. Let's have people help us magnify this process. So we put products on our website where someone for half the price of a plant could sponsor a plant going to charity. We knew we'd be giving plants to charity anyways. We managed to raise 140 sponsors from customers to help us give plants to organizations, which was fantastic. So if you think about that's $280, so $2 per person. Helped us with our 457 plants that we gave away to your Boys and Girls Club, tons and tons of organizations that came to us wanting plants for different purposes. So we actually could mobilize this online community that we've created to help us sponsor and do good. So that was a very big difference in terms of the directed donation or sponsorship of plants. Another huge difference last year to this year is last year we didn't gather any customer information. When someone came up to our booth at the St. Louis Earth Day and bought plants, we didn't know their name. We don't know who they're from. Maybe they paid in cash. Maybe they paid through our merchant processing, but we don't gather any information that's useful from that process. And those people they may remember us if they had a good year with their plants, but we have no way to reach them. Whereas with online commerce, depending on the platform you use, and I'll talk about that in a minute, you can gather some really great data. We gathered emails, address, phone number, their preferences. That's huge too. I know who likes hot peppers and who likes sweet peppers and who likes herbs and who likes what kind of tomatoes. This is all very valuable information that I can then turn around and use in email campaigns, in mailers, in text campaigns. I have this great body of information that I wouldn't have had if I didn't interact with those people in an online environment. So that was hugely important. And I'm going to turn that, not only do I have this massive amount of information, it's all local people. Most of the people that I gather information from online, say through Facebook and stuff, they can be anywhere. They can be in Glasgow, they could be anywhere in the world. And I don't have this kind of really centered information. So the information gathering capacity of online is great. But again, I'll talk about different platforms and which platforms give you which information in a minute here. So the social media reaction to this was also very marked. We started off with about 1,800 Facebook likes on my Ivan Tomato Rescue Project by Victory Gardeners Facebook page at the beginning of this process. And we've gone up to over 2,100 likes on that page. Now, the significant difference is, yes, that's a good increase in likes. And I'm of the thought pattern, and I kind of work with this with my clients, is I'm not interested in building a community on Facebook that's not interested in my product. I want the people who like my page to be interested in what I do, and I feed them good information that makes them learn more about gardening, sustainable agriculture, entertains, and educates. And I would rather have 2,000 hardcore watchers than 4,000 people that don't pay any attention. So the fact that we raised, 300 or so interested people that are local, that rise has been local people that saw our ads, liked our page, we followed up with, we got them involved, is actually substantial. Because those are the same people that are going to follow us at the farmer's market when it's safe to return. Those are the same people that might be customers again next year locally for plants, and may get involved in our other lines, our other product lines, such as our loose leaf teas and our ointments. So the increase in the social media likes has been very important and a successful side product of the process of locally marketing through Facebook. Now, I spent a total of $300 on Facebook ads in the last 90 days. That is not a lot of money. That is not a lot of money at all, considering what I usually pay for booth fees and travel and rental trucks and everything else to doing business at the various markets. I spent $300 on Facebook ads in the 90 days. And you can see my paid reach versus my organic reach. The organic reach is the lower, lighter orange color, and the paid reach is the darker orange color. It's important to have both paid reach and organic reach. The organic reach shows me that my community is active, and that is a very important thing. In some of my posts, they were active almost up to 100% of who I had in there on an organic basis, versus going up to the paid reach level. So my posts it's very important that the community you build in your local or in your social media be engaged. But it's also very important to spend a little money on Facebook ads. Facebook is a machine and it wants to make money, and through using its very, very flexible targeting advertising capacity, I was able to focus on people that would actually be interested in my products. So people that were sustainable ag, gardeners, specific types of people. You can really, really, really tailor those Facebook audience capacities or aspects to very, very, very targeted niches for your products, or wide groups if your product has a more wide target market base. So I used Facebook ads, spent $300 on ads. So this made it so we actually expanded our products offering or exposure. We penetrated our local market in a much better way. We've created long-term customers. We've got information that we're going to take forward to expand our business and continue offering our product lines. And so I would count this as a complete and total success. We were agile, we pivoted, we went for it, and we had the skill sets to make it happen. Now, for many businesses out there, they may not have the skill sets to say, oh, I'm going to spend 100 hours to put all my products online and build my own website. It's a difficult process, and there are options out there for you if you're choosing or interested in going online. And Leslie talked a little bit about it, some of the different platforms, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it from a practical point of view of someone who builds websites. So when you look at websites, I'm looking at the time, we're still okay. You're going to be faced with a choice. Generally, you can try to do something you build yourself through Shopify, Wix, many different GoDaddy. There's a lot of self-build platforms out there, and they're going to charge you a higher monthly price for the e-commerce. For every sort of widget or aspect you add in, there might be an additional monthly cost. So you're going to pay more on a monthly basis, but you don't pay the big fee to build your website. The other option is you pay the fee to someone who's an artist and a marketer to build your website, but then you pay a much lower monthly cost, right? Your hosting might be $3 a month instead of $40 a month. So either way, you're going to pay. You're either going to pay slowly or you're going to pay, more quickly. So, but you want to look when you're making that choice. There's some things that come into it. One is how professional is your website. It's important that the website really reflect your company, have the right content on it, and have a professional look. Because when people go to a website, it's not secure, it doesn't look professional. They get 3 seconds, they make their choice and they're off. If you don't grab them within those first 3 seconds, they're gone. So it's important that it look professional. The next question is that access to customer information I talked about. I have all that customer information because I used my own solution. If you use a more canned solution such as Shopify, there's different levels of e-commerce you have to purchase depending on how much access you want to your information. You can pay the higher price and then you can get access to that information. But one of the things Leslie mentioned is if you work with one of those organizations and they decide they don't like what you sell, or they decide in some way you're violating their standards in some way based on a product choice or in a graphic that you use, they can shut you down overnight and you've lost your entire customer base and access to it. So it's important to make sure that you make the appropriate choice, and you can choose one and then migrate to the other. You can start with something like Shopify to get your feet wet, and then over time say, you know what, I think I want to go to a more professional solution after you've proved the model that you're actually going to be successful online. But I think access to customer information is incredibly important. And if you read the fine print on things like Etsy, you're not even allowed to download your customer information from Etsy. So be very careful and make sure you have access to your information. But then the flip side of that is access to marketplace. So Shopify has a big marketplace that people search for items. Etsy has a big marketplace that people search for items. Leslie said it, that if you make your own website, you got to make sure there's some sort of funnel driving people to your website. You can create the most beautiful website, but if nobody knows it's there, it's never going to get seen. So you have to make sure it's integrated with the social media platforms, that you're doing the right type of effort to drive people or funnel people to the website where your products live. So that's also important. And then integration with your POS system and inventory. This is a very big deal. If you have a bricks and mortar store and you're using some sort of POS system with inventory, you want to make sure that works as well coordinated with whatever online solution you choose, whether it's something like Shopify or something like WooCommerce. Or if you're not using a POS system, the system online may give you a inventory control system that you can then use to actually track your inventory, which can be really helpful if you have a finite number of products. So at one point, I had oversold my jalapeno peppers. I don't know how it happened, but I oversold my jalapeno peppers. And I had to go in and look at my inventory system and see, oh, this is now oversold. I think I sold one in person and I didn't mark it down online. So your inventory system is only as good as you are in terms of updating it if things change. If a product goes bad, breaks, is sold not through the online environment, you need to make sure that there's either an integration between a POS system and your inventory system, or you keep a very good handle on inventory. Now, if it's a product that you can easily get more of or make more of, then no big deal, no problem whatsoever. But if it's a finite product that you only have so many of, you got to keep your inventory tight. The shipping system integration. There are a lot of shipping systems, and we had to face this. We used to go to the post office once a day. My husband is a bicyclist, and he would bike down there with the packages, and we would spend, whatever we spent to have our packages shipped. And by bringing them to the post office, they could stamp non-machinable on it, and we could use less intense packing materials and pay a little bit less for shipping. Once COVID hit, we could no longer go to the post office. So we chose to use stamps.com. ShipStation is another one that's by the same organization when you get into a larger volume. We pay a monthly fee, I think it's $17.99. And we can print our own shipping labels, and I just put it in the mailbox and the postman takes it, the postperson takes it. So I was able to integrate my shipping system in. I do pay more per ship because I'm shipping now in bubble envelopes, and but it's, in the long run, the seeds are safer, so it's just as well. But I did have to come up with a shipping system and make that happen in real time. And then the scalability is the last issue with a website. If you do go with a professional solution and build your own website, the scalability is endless. You can add as many products as you want. If you go with a system that is more like a Shopify or an Etsy, you're paying per listing. So be aware that there are these costs, these monthly invoices that are going to come, that are going to charge you per listing. And unless you are selling enough of products, that could become onerous. So be very well to consider scalability, the size of your organization, the size of your product breadth. If you have a lot of different products, be very careful that you don't end up with these listing fees that are going to eclipse your profits. So beware of the scalability options on that. So I've talked about a lot of these. I build in WordPress. I find WordPress to be very mutable. I'm good at it. I know how to make it and specialize. I can make anything happen. I chose a dual inventory control system. So I allowed WordPress or my WooCommerce, my website, to track inventory, but I'm also a database builder. So I created myself an Access database where I tracked all my sales because I knew people were going to come by, friends were going to come by and want to get plants. And I knew I had to keep a dual inventory system of things that I sold in person. And I also needed to keep more information than my WooCommerce website would keep, like delivery dates. This person wants their plants left on the porch. This one wants them put in on top of the ramp. All sorts of information that I was tracking per customer that I couldn't keep in my inventory system online. So I created an Access database that integrated with my website, and I could print invoices, do more stuff with. I used WooCommerce for my ship, I guess my integration of what things are actually sold on, and that's a system that works with WordPress. I chose PayPal as my payment gateway. There's lots of different payment gateways out there, and pretty much any website will integrate with just about all of them because they all want to make money. And I chose stamp.com as my shipping and fulfillment system. So between using those various systems, I'm able to function online, sell online, and have a very successful season of it. And this is just who I am. On the other hat, the web building hat, I am Buzzwell Media, and here's my contact information. You have questions, you want more information, you want to talk about your business and how you can pivot to get online. I'm more than happy to talk to just about anybody and brainstorm, have a free consultation, and see if there's any way I can help you get your business going. Because to be honest, if I didn't do this, if we didn't pivot this way, we'd be in real trouble right now. We'd be trying to figure out how on earth we're going to feed our family. So we succeeded, thankfully, in the season. That money from that seasonal business gets us through the summer every year. Now we can get through our summer and keep building Buzzwell on the other side to get us through the fall. But it was successful. It was incredibly happy outcome, but a lot of work that we were willing to put in to make it happen. All right, that's all I got. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I guess now we can open it up to questions. Anybody got some questions? See if there's any in the chat. Okay, there's one here. Have you experienced problems with stamps.com? You know what? Sometimes it flakes out, and I've had to use different browsers. I've had to switch to, I usually use Chrome. I had to switch to EU to E for a minute, but I called their tech support, and they're very, very responsive. There was one day the whole system went down for about an hour, and they were like, "Yeah, we're having system-wide issues," and then they refunded there was a couple claim or things that didn't print, and they refunded it within a few days. So I've been pretty happy with their service level and their responsiveness. Can you explain to us about Wix versus Square e-commerce sites? Okay, so both of Wix and Square give you the ability to build your own site. And I have picked up from a lot of people that built their own site and then chose to go professional site. Maybe it's because they were ready for that change. Some people are very techy and good with graphics, and they can create their own site. I'll just tell you, when I started building websites, my very good friend Naomi, who was building websites before I started, she said, and I was doing this for my own business, I did not want to pay someone to build Buzzwell's site. I didn't want to pay someone to build Victory Gardner's site. I wanted to do it myself, and I wanted to use WordPress. And I am a technical person. I built databases. I figured I could figure this out. And I called Naomi at one point and I said, "This is insane. Why is this so hard? This should be easy. I should be able to drag this and drop that." And she said, "Laura, you need to spend 100 hours swearing at your computer. And then you're going to know WordPress in and out, and you're going to love it." And I was like, okay. And I spent the 100 hours, and I did 3 different iterations of my website before I got to something I even began to like. And now I can do it. And she was absolutely correct. The difference between a website that you build yourself and website such as that use WordPress is a level of complexity, and the fact that if I want to add something in that's different, I don't have to pay for it. I don't have to pay to add a scheduling system. I don't have to pay to add any of the things that if I was with one of the you created sites, I'd have to pay for every new service. So it was a sustainability thing for me. And I want to have complete control over every box, where it sits, what it does, and what's in it, what color it is, how the edges. I want to be able to control every aspect of design. And I can do that with a WordPress site. Now, the difference is it costs money, right? It's going to cost somebody, you're going to have to pay somebody to build it. Whether they, like we do a thing where you can pay it, over 12 months, you pay 1/12 of it over, so you don't have to pay it all at once, but you're still going to have to pay to get the website built. For small businesses, when you're just testing an idea, when you're just at the point where you're like, well, I think I want to sell my artwork, or I want to sell my masks, or whatever it is, you may not be at the point where you've proved concept. So using a site like Wix or Square gives you or Shopify gives you the ability to prove concept in an environment where, yes, you're going to pay more monthly, but you don't have that big outlay for a website, for a business that's an ongoing concern. So that's kind of the difference I would say on that. Have you experienced problem with stamps? Stamps have come as a terrible problem some years ago. Back to them. Use Zapper. Are you building a database and planning off-season information contacts? So I'm going to share screen for a second, and I'm going to show you my database that I built. So I created, hang on a second. Actually, hang on a second. I got to get this down and change that. Pull this up. Sorry, pull this up. Come on. There you go. Now I'll share screen and it'll be successful. Okay, so I built a database, just a basic switchboard with the different buttons that I like on it. But the main thing was this customer screen that gives me my customer information, all of their orders, and then the elements of their orders, the different plants. So I've nested a couple different forms. But the reality is I have all these order information. Sorry to show Abby's information, but I've got her address, or her email address. I've got information on it. I've got, what day a week they want their stuff. This was the additional information I couldn't track through the online system with WooCommerce. I wanted to be able to have all this information so I could go easily from client to client and see, how their information changed per person. And this information is incredibly valuable. It sits in a customer table where I can have all the information. I can export this out at any time, import it right into MailChimp. Boom. I've got a mailing list of an additional, 269 people that I've tracked information on. So having again, I had the skill set to build it, but having this kind of a system, I could also run reports. How many is the total plants we've sold? 3,971 plants. How many plants did we donate? We donated 457 plants. I can run, remainders lists. How much is there left of everything? And here's all my inventory. And, how many we sold, how many are left. So it did take some data entry to double entry all my orders, but I was able to see, I can run inventory, I can create invoices, and I can then print off, so I think having a dual inventory system, which I think was the question in the chat, although I have to go back to the chat. I'm going to stop sharing here and go back to the chat. My chat, here we go. What was the question? I've probably gone off point, but yeah, are you building a database applying off-season information context? So yes, that database gives me the ability to do off-season context, and I will I do newsletters anyways. So I'm going to add all those people into my newsletter group, and I'll be offering a local newsletter as well as a newsletter that goes out to the greater population, and that'll help people drive people towards my other products that I would like to sell. Because at this point, we're not at the farmer's market yet. My husband is very worried about infectious and situation, and we have not got to the point where we're going to expose ourselves. We have certain health conditions, whatever. We don't want to, be in exposure. So my only way to continue selling products this summer is going to be through local contacts. So I will be using that database hot and heavy to get to my people. What else have we got here that's something I can address? Anyone else got any questions for business owners who want to dip their toes into e-commerce and test the waters? Are there any tips, strategies, or avenues they could try before making the big commitment? Yes, you could definitely try. That's where those sites come in. Those Shopify, Wix, Etsy, eBay, those type, Facebook Marketplace, those type of venues do give you the chance to wet your feet and give it a try. Keep in mind, a lot of them want you to do a long-term commitment and hosting and stuff like that. You can always switch at any time, and they'll have to refund you a portion of the year, a prorated portion. So even if you get into it and you're like, I love this is going well, I want to go permanent, you can change, and you'll be able to do that when you need to. What I would say is, if you're going to do it, make sure you get whatever your name is, whatever you want to call your business, get your Facebook, your Instagram, make sure you can get the name, the URL for whatever it is you want to do is available, and buy it. Even if you're not going to do it for 6 months, go out there and buy that URL. It costs like $12 to hold it for a year. And that way you'll have that option to use that name. I built a website for someone recently, and they didn't realize they needed a URL. They thought they bought it. They thought they bought their URL. Turns out they didn't. And partway through the build, we had to pivot and change the name of the whole organization. So if you're thinking about something for the future, and you can go get that URL now, get it and save it. Even things that would redirect. So like my website is Victory Gardeners. I also have Ivan Tomato Rescue Project, all these different redirects, and someone searches online, takes them right to my site. So be prepared to put a little bit of cash into making it happen. But if you want to test the waters, that's where those Shopifys and the Wix and marketplaces like that give you that opportunity to test it. That's what I would say. And tips, I would grow your local audience on Facebook, or whatever it is, wherever your people be. Maybe they're Instagram people, maybe they're, maybe they're on wherever they be, maybe they're on LinkedIn if you're doing, business to business. Wherever your people are, you have to build your local identity. Because again, a website is a baseball field. And if there's no players and there's no fans, the baseball field sits empty. You need to make a way to drive people to your site so that they will buy your products. My blogging, I've been blogging for years. I don't get paid to blog. I do it for free. I blog so people read about my stuff, they learn, I build authority in my topic matter, and then they find my page, organically through that process. I'll give you an example. 2 summers ago, we were on our way to, actually it was my birthday party. I was having a birthday party. All of a sudden I look at my phone and it's June, middle of June, and I'm getting seed sales. And that's so odd, because people should have their seeds in the ground by now. Why are people buying seeds? Next morning I woke up, there was over 20 sales on my website in the middle of June. Very odd. And then I finally, trying to figure out what's going on, 2 days later I get a call from a nice gentleman from Virginia that said that he read about me and his grit. And I was like, oh my God, what happened? Turns out an article I had written for a smaller Mother Earth News publication was turned into another article. Since they own the article, they could put it in any of their magazines. Well, they ran it in Grit, but they didn't tell me. Over the next 3 months, we sold about $6,000 worth of seeds, which we would not have sold at all, not in a million years. And someone who came like maybe 5 days ago to pick up some plants read about me in Grit that was still sitting in their living room, and they came to buy plants. And that was 2 years ago that magazine ran. So the shelf life of magazines and blogs is well beyond a Facebook post. So put your information out there, build your community, and build a funnel that drives people to your sales avenue, whatever it is. That's what I would say to that. That's a thing. Any other questions you want to ask? Anybody got any questions? Or any problems they're facing right now with their business that they want some feedback on?
Did you answer the Zapier question? I had to step away.
I didn't. You said that you had some issues with stamps.com. I haven't looked into Zapier. Is that another shipping?
Okay, I just wondered how. No, Zapier is it's how you tie your website and your shipping to like PayPal.
Okay.
So,
okay. I find that I've had some people that can't figure out how to use PayPal, and I always leave the option to call me. There are a lot of people that I sell products to that are not happy or not comfortable with the web, right? Are not comfortable with that, putting their credit card into something. So I tried to pick a shipping or a payment option that a lot of people are familiar with, and a lot of people are familiar with PayPal. But I'll take Venmo, I'll process over the phone. And honestly, it's often a lot of seniors that are out in rural communities. They're not comfortable putting their credit card in the computer. They will call me. They'll put an order in, I'll ship them seeds, and then they'll send me a personal check or a postal money order or cash. I try to facilitate all levels, because I know, like, I think of my mom or she doesn't want to put her credit card into a computer, right? So you got to try to find an option that is most comfortable for most people to be able to do, and offer options, offer that phone number where someone can do a personal order. Some people just want to talk. They want to communicate about and I've learned a lot of things from these people, and I've even gotten some really, really cool strains of tomatoes and peppers sent to me that I've then been able to add to our rescue program. So don't underestimate the contacts that you get through the non-conventional payment systems or other options for payment. Oh. Any other thoughts, questions? Anybody? Nope. Well, I wish you all the best of luck. I would suggest really considering online. And I don't know what your product is. I don't know what level of aspect you are in your business, but if you want to talk, give me a holler. I'd be happy to spend some time talking with you. But I really think that it's at this time and age, this situation we're in isn't over. And any headway you can make right now in the online world will be magnified as we go forward, and people's habits are changing on how they're accessing materials. So it's a good time to do it. It's a scary time, but it's, sometimes that's the nature of change. All right, thanks for listening, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Laura. This was a wonderful contribution, and really, really appreciate your time and all of our folks on the line here. So with that, we will end the presentation.
I just want to say one thing. I do believe the slides are going to be available. The slide deck, I know it was said in the chat, but if you missed that, you can contact I guess you contact the organization, and they'll be able to put those slide shares out for people who want the information.